Okay. So welcome everybody to the second webinar of August and sixth webinar of the Beaten Track Academy. Today we are with our esteemed partner LoovEesti in their second webinar. They are from Estonia. And we're going to talk about how to collaborate with Nordic countries. This is so interesting for me. We're here with Eva, and I'm leaving the floor to her, who's going to introduce and delve into this topic with all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Elisa. Welcome to everyone, to our superpower woman from Estonia, and to our partners. Thank you for joining us. I will share my screen. I prepared some slides to introduction the topic. You see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Okay. So yes, today webinar topic is about business culture in Nordics, and the lecture is recorded and by Kati Uusiraua. She's an expert about culture and creative industries from Finland. My name is Eva Leemet. I'm partner on Off the Beaten Track project, and I am managing director of Creative Estonia. Why we are talking about business culture is very important, especially for in culture tourism sector, as the tourism sector contains cultural heritage, arts, creative industries, and food experiences, and the business mainly is based on network about accommodation, catering, transport, travel services, sightseeing, and cultural entertainment, so that to build these culture tourism internationalization relationships, you should know more about the culture background on the partnering country. And why business culture? So that building sustainable and beneficial international cooperation, you have to know more about the culture on the partner countries, and cultural background has strong influence to the business relations, that how people are acting and how they're making decisions. It's only based on the cultural background. And to understand it better, you need personal experiences to get the overview how this country's culture is built and what kind of things you should know to create business. And the Baltic Sea region is very small, but even here in our neighborhood, we have cultural differences which have impact on the business relations. Of course, Estonian participants, they know better because we are living here next to the Sweden and Finland. You see this countries map, Nordic countries map is here. There's Baltic Sea countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Here is Finland, Sweden, Norway, and Denmark. They are called Nordic countries and Baltic countries, but Estonia is between Baltic and Nordic, and we are quite happy to belong on the group of Nordic countries. Today's lecture is about business culture in Sweden, Finland, and Estonia. And to visit these countries, I made screenshots from the official websites. Visit Estonia. All who are interested to make business with Estonians, you should visit first Estonia and get experiences, how and what is important in culture tourism example in Estonia. You will find or information from this website. Visit Finland. The Finnish people are the happiest people in the country where they are living, and this is listed on the worldwide list. So that in Visit Finland webpage you will find the important information about Finland. And Visit Sweden. It's also an important destination in the Nordic area, and you will find information in Visit Sweden website. So, checking question, I was prepared which Nordic country you have visited, but as today's participants are many Estonians, I know they have visited all Nordic countries, I guess, but maybe we could do small round and ask from our partners also, which Nordic country you have visited? Elisa.
Hey, yeah, I was about to talk indeed. I visited Denmark because I lived there for like 4 months. And then I had to graduate and I came back to Italy. But it was a really, really nice experience. Like, there are like some pros and cons as in every country. And like I really could see the difference in the culture, and to me it was super interesting to delve into their culture because it's something that it's distant from us, like from the way of saying hi, the way of like organizing a dinner together, and then there are all the social aspects also that are interesting. But like I feel like in 4 months I didn't have the time to go deep in the culture that much. I mean, it helped and it was interesting. I think I got something from them, and I hope I also left something from my side. And also lately I was reading some things about, and I didn't visit other countries from the north, but I would love to. And lately I was reading some things about this thing that Finland is the happiest place in the world. And it was very interesting because they were explaining like some good aspects in social life, but also they were explaining like some ways of being and behaving that are I don't know, a bit cold, so they would like to be happier in another kind of sense, like being more open. I don't know if they're true or not. I was just reading, but it was very curious to read about why are they the happiest. I mean, I understand the government is much better in like compared to our government or how it's acting here, but why the happiest? So I don't know if you have some ideas on that, but to me it was very interesting to read that.
We will look this lecture by Kati Uusarova very soon, as she's from Finland. Maybe we will get some insights from her video. But you are quite good opportunity to visit Estonia. We have our final partner meeting on January in Estonia. So Elisa, you will have also very soon.
I'm very happy, yeah.
Estonia on your travel map. Anna, have you visited Nordic countries?
Yeah, but the same as Elisa. I've only, well, it's not even Denmark itself. I only been to Copenhagen for a weekend with friends, and this is what I did. So that's my experience with the Nordic countries is quite small, unfortunately. I don't know if Julia.
No, I don't visit the Nordic countries, but I like it
too.
Great. So that's I understand that you are looking very much to this webinar today's topic, that it's good insights for you. And
Yes.
yeah, I don't know actually if the screens are closed are here.
Sorry, just I want to say one last thing. I wanted to say that anyway, to me, yeah, I'm very curious about this webinar because it was pretty hard to me because I was graduating and I was also looking for a job in the meantime. And I was looking a bit everywhere in Europe, in the places that I like the most, but also in Copenhagen because my ex-boyfriend was living there. But it was really hard because they were asking me to know the language, and I was really struggling to try to learn the basic sentences, and they were always correcting my pronunciation. So it takes a lot of time to learn the languages. So it was a bit hard to find a job there. But I understand also from their part.
Yeah, of course, the language is important part, and in Nordic countries, Danish, Swedish, and Norwegian are some similarities, and Estonia and Finnish have some similarities that we will understand easier each other.
Okay.
I will also ask from our Estonian participants, Kaira, which is the favorite country in Nordics for you?
Norway.
Oh, great.
Yeah. I think as a business approach, Estonians and Norwegian people are more alike. The Danish people, I have studied in Denmark for 2 years, so I had to do that in Danish. But I like Denmark also. It's kind of open, it's creative, all the kind of the ambient and the bicycling, and this is just something for me. But if to talk about the business, I think the Norwegian people are my favorite ones.
Great. What about you, Kaidi?
Hello. My favorite part is Lapland, Finland, Lapland. It's so great that I feel so different there. It's amazing.
Hi, Leticia. Have you visited Nordic countries?
Hi. Excuse me, but I have just a little problem with my internet connection, so I cannot understand everything as well as I want. But yes, but I have never been in the north, but I would like to go. I will go as soon as possible to visit the places.
Great. Welcome, Leticia. Annelies, what is your favorite Nordic country?
I haven't had actually much connection with Norwegians or Norwegia and Denmark yet, but I would like to. I really love the Swedes. We have a beautiful music connection with the Swedes because of the international music producers network that I'm part of. And they're absolutely amazing people, and the country is amazing, and I really like their business ethics as well. But now we're planning in the brand new developmental center, hopefully a collaboration project with maybe Nordic countries. So I hope to get to visit Norway and Denmark as well and find some good contacts there.
We have also views. Have you visited Nordic countries?
Are you speaking with me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't get because you pronounce your name. My name is in a different way. Yes, I've been to Sweden for holiday, and it was very nice. I've been to Latvia for teaching. I have the experience there for 1 year. I used to teach there at the Vitseme University. And also I've been to Iceland, if you want to consider as a Nordic country. It is, absolutely. And also for teaching for an Erasmus experience over there. And I really enjoy the approach. I think it's much easygoing than the Mediterranean one. The Mediterranean, on one side, we are a little bit too much, how can I say, We're exotic, but at the same time we are nice people, but too complicated, let's say in this way. The Nordic people are much more straightforward, I would say that. In a sense. We are also straightforward, but in a different sense. I don't know if it's clear.
So now we go to this video lecture. It's pre-recorded and it's 22 minutes, so that I hope it's not too long. And you will hear the conclusion of the business cultures comparing Estonia, Finland, and Sweden by Kati Uusiraua. I will start sharing.
My name is Kati Uusiraua. I'm from Helsinki, Finland, and I'm a cultural anthropologist, and I've been working with Finnish creative industries for the last 20 plus years, exporting them to USA, Europe, and Asia. Today, I will be talking to you about Nordic and Baltic business cultures and how do these countries and cultures cooperate. I wanted to start by listing you some basic values that the Nordic and Baltic countries and cultures appreciate highly. And those are kind of common for all the countries in the Nordic and Baltics as I see it, and more so also in the future. Probably the most appreciated value or set of values is honesty, frankness, and keeping a promise. It is very important in Nordic countries to keep a promise, and if you fail to do so, or if you get caught by lying or not telling the truth, it can be very, very difficult to continue the partnership. Also, equality and low hierarchy are very essential values for these cultures. Individuality is also important, that people themselves have a say and they have a right to think on their own. And also transparency in processes, in societies, and in businesses. When we talk to the clients is very important, of course, not to forget the business secrets that every business needs to protect. From individual point of view, in these countries, this individual well-being, sense of purpose, and also the balance between work and private life is highly appreciated. This is evident and very, very can be seen very clearly in the Nordics, that we appreciate the well-being and cozy life and happy life here in these countries. We actually have this Danish word for this cozy life called hygge. So it is very, very highly appreciated that people feel comfortable with their lives as well. And for businesses also, for decades already, it's been very important to be socially aware and carry the social responsibility, and also responsibility for your environment, which of course contains the social side, but also the nature side and environmental, the physical environment side. This tradition has been going for decades already, especially in Scandinavian cultures and countries. Say in Sweden and Denmark, we have big global companies that have been struggling with the social issues and the social responsibility for quite a long time already, and they've solved quite many questions. I decided to choose you a few countries from the Nordic and Baltic region and kind of compare them with each other in order to find the unique cultural features of each country. And I will start with Sweden, the biggest country in the Nordics, and also the country with probably the longest history in business and international encounters in business environments. In Sweden, it's really cute how people are so informal with each other. You greet people after meeting them the first time, you greet them in a very informal way. And in pre-corona times, at least, who knows what will happen in the future, but before corona, hugging was very popular. If you know each other in advance, then kind of the more informal the greeting when you meet each other again is, the more you feel friends and socially tied together. And also in other business communications in Sweden, addressing people is very informal. You address them by first name already quite from the start. And in writing too, and you can begin the messages just by saying, hey. And this social informality and the underlining of us being a group together and knowing each other well happens also in the meeting environments. In Swedish business culture, it's very important to have meetings all along the processes. You can have numerous meetings just to create the social clue, just to understand what we're talking about, because the Swedish business culture is actually about finding a consensus together, trying to, by negotiation, finding the joint and common understanding of what we want to do. And because of this, the process can be a little bit blurry, and also the planning phase can take a long time. The decision-making process doesn't seem to an outsider very clear, and the decision is formed, or the joint understanding is formed by talking a lot with each other, and everybody has to say to the process. Everybody is empowered to take part in the negotiation. And also, Swedes underline long-term thinking. It's very somehow unique for the Swedish business tradition to think well in advance everything. And this is probably because they've had the luxury of doing so. A country that has been in peace for such a long time has had the opportunity to not to prepare for the worst, but actually to concentrate on the best. And this also has an effect on the business culture in Sweden, definitely. The planning phase is very important, and it's very negotiation oriented and discussion oriented. And it can take a long time. But when it's finished, when the consensus is reached in a Swedish company, then the execution phase is really efficient, and there's no negotiation done after that, but things are just done, chuck, 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 and then it's finished. So it takes a long time to plan, but then the actual doing phase, the execution phase, is very, very fast. Some national specialities about Swedish culture. There is a term in Swedish called fika, and it means the coffee breaks. These all important social clue happenings in everyday business life that the Swedes want to and need to have. It is said that in Swedish organizations, it's actually quite obligatory to take part at least in one of these coffee breaks during the day. Otherwise, you're considered a little bit weird. Also, during the coffee breaks and everywhere, the art of small talk is flourishing in Swedish business culture. It is very important for the Swedes to continue the discussion in all possible occasions. Then again, Finland, I would say that Finland, my own culture, is quite informal as well. But there is a kind of a nuanced difference in this. Finns tolerate more the formalities, and for example, when you're shaking hands the first time, or if you're not so certain about how good friends we actually are already, then you can be quite informal. And it's important to, when you greet a person for the first time, you say your name very clearly, both of your names, your first and family name, and kind of show respect also to the other one. So, but afterwards you get acquainted. The social encounters are quite informal, definitely. But for Finns, I would say that there's this unique thing about the organization hierarchy, that people's professionality is highly appreciated. And it's very important for Finns to understand in which positions people are in their businesses and companies. So we kind of put them into niches in the hierarchy. And this is the kind of our way of thinking and putting pieces in order. The meetings also are very kind of in the same sense, fact-based and very well, hierarchically, the themes are hierarchically discussed. Meetings are very common. It's common that people's calendars are packed with meetings, but usually the meetings are set to check the status of a process instead of creating social clue or dealing information. But it is about, taking the process further. And the Finnish process is very interesting in comparison to a Swedish one, because our decision making is fast. But not everything is thoroughly discussed in the beginning. The kind of decision making concentrates on the idea of what shall we do next, and then we shall start doing it, instead of looking at the whole process as the Swedes do, but we shall start working right away. And this problem-solving approach is very evident in Finnish business thinking. So the planning phase is typically quite short, and planning is done actually individually in teams or by persons taking part of the process. And then in the next meeting, we get together and give a status update on who's been doing what. And then the execution phase is quite iterative for Finnish businesses. As I said, we start right away in Finland, we start working on the case, but then it might also affect on the fact that after the start, we must adjust the direction of the process as well. So the target and direction of the process can change during the execution. And even if Finns are seen as very engineerial, process-minded people, the process is quite flexible. Some national specialities around Finnish culture and business life. One thing that hasn't come up very often, but what I've noticed in cooperating with international partners is that Finns have a bit of a hard time of saying no. So don't be intimidated if you don't get an answer right away from a Finn, because it's probably because they don't want to say no, thank you, or they don't want to say that I do not know at this point what to answer. So it is not rude to ask again. If you start spamming too often, then it's being considered rude, but try to kind of find out in a subtle way what's going on and what's the difficulty of not being able to answer you. Finns also need his own space. So as I said, don't spam your partner. Try to give some space to a Finn because he will take his own time to make the decision. And also, as cliche as it is, sauna and nature are very important in Finnish business life and Finnish social business life as well. And if you're invited to a summer cottage of a company CEO and invited to a sauna there, then you really nailed your partnership and you will be friends for life. In Estonia, to my experience, the culture is pretty much informal. Shaking hands and you know, all these basic ways of greeting people is of course everyday life, but I would say that when it comes to the Swedish way of hugging, even if the Finns have kind of adapted that culture, Estonians are not so fluent in it, and I would say that in that way the culture it seems a little bit more stiff than, for example, the Swedish very sociable and amiable, friendly way of being with other people. On the other hand, in Estonia, addressing people is done almost 100% by first name after getting acquainted, and the writing seems very informal too. So it's very easy to communicate. It's a very low hierarchy way of communicating in Estonia and business culture as well. Many things are very to the point. There is no chit chat normally, not much at least. And people are well prepared to meetings. They have clear questions, and it's a very solution-driven approach. And also getting and dealing information is very, very highly appreciated. The process in Estonian business life is very fast, based on facts. So decision-making phase of a process is done by getting and finding out the facts, and then deciding, okay, we shall do this. And then the planning phase itself is quite short, and I would say it targets to be a very to form a very efficient process, but sometimes it feels that it is a bit hasty and not necessarily always taking all the options into account when making the decision because of the vast efficiency of the process. And the execution phase is also very efficient, very light and clever. And this also leads to the fact that it seems that businesses have a very flexible approach to also planning the strategy of the company. Some national specialities, it is overwhelming how low hierarchy, modern infrastructure Estonia has. Of course, the digitality, digital solutions make this possible as well. So everything seems quite efficient and truly fast, as I've already said before. But also then, I would say that in Estonian business life, the near history, the post-Soviet phase, the very fast development process in the 90s is something that has put a stamp to Estonian business life as well. The way of thinking very fast and very agile way is something that is very typical for Estonians. And also the patriotism or the national feel is really important. And for example, local production is very highly appreciated. And this is something that also is in the kind of pioneering group in the global economy that happened already some time ago, that the Estonians really started to push their local production as well, again, after things being taken to China. And this is something very, very typical, I think, for Estonian business culture, to think locally. So in conclusion, I would say that after this comparative presentation, the social business encounters and business cultures in the Nordics and Baltics are quite informal. especially when you compare to some other countries and cultures on the global level. For example, the centrally driven cultures like China, for example, you need to know the kind of the hierarchical steps in the culture, or the traditional ways of behaving with other people, like in Japan, where you need to know really how to behave, or maybe in more aggressive business environments like USA, you need to know who's who. But in the Nordics and Baltics, we have quite low hierarchy, very easygoing way of doing business with each other. Of course, every country has its own culture, and it depends on, for example, the economical structure. Like in Finland, for example, we've been the country of forestry and paper industry so long that there is some kind of, you know, as I was saying, that we are an engineers nation. For example, this paper industry history and tradition gives a certain kind of an atmosphere to our business culture still. Of course, international business experience also has some effect on the current culture. For example, in Sweden, as they have been sailing around the world since 17th or 18th century and doing business all around the world, and now they have these huge global corporations. For example, in the consumer business, that gives a certain kind of an ambiance to the culture, definitely, and also certain kind of self-confidence. And as I was saying, history can have a very strong effect on the culture, like Estonian business culture. Of course, it's affected of the near history and the recent happenings in Estonia. And some basic national differences in cooperating between people and in culture. When we think about the three cultures, Sweden is underlining this joint discussion and empowering everybody to get involved in the process. Finland has a low hierarchy, but at the same time, we respect the professional integrity of individuals here in our culture. And in Estonia, the efficiency and fast proceedings are, well, highly appreciated. So, tack, kiitos, aitäh. I warmly wish very much success in the Nordic and Baltic business environment to all of you. Thank you.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed it. Yeah. So that it's great to hear the people conclusions about the Estonian business culture, and especially if somebody outsider is saying how she's feeling and seeing, and it was real. And as Estonia is the smallest country between Sweden and Finland, Finland is 5 times bigger from Estonia, and Sweden is 10 times bigger, having 10 million citizens, Estonia only 1.3 million. And as Kati said, that the Estonian business culture is very fast proceeding. We have saying that in Estonia you need 1 phone call to reach Prime Minister, and if you want to get president, you need 2 phone calls, so that it's very easy to get. And we also know that we all know each other and have been some relations somewhere and somehow, so that it's really easy to have business in Estonia between Estonians. But we are also very flexible and open as small nation. We can't survive without partnering with neighbor countries, and also to belong to European Union, partnering in Europe, it's very, very important for us. So that unfortunately we don't have quite not many participants from our partner countries, but I hope they will follow the recording, and I wish you good emotions get this lecture. And Elisa, you can make introduction to the next webinar now.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know if Laura, who is one of our participants and joined a bit later, would like to say something about the webinar. I don't know how much you followed, but about like if you visited like countries from the north, or I don't know, if you feel like it's just because you joined later and
Yeah,
Sorry.
hi, hello everyone. Thanks, Elisa. Thanks, everybody. Sorry I was a bit late, but I'm happy to have managed to listen a little bit about Sweden, Finland, and Estonia. I've actually been to all of these countries just as a visitor during my studies in Denmark, or I was volunteering in Estonia for a bit. So, but I never really looked at these countries from a business perspective. And since I'm starting now, my, hopefully my very small business, it was very interesting, and definitely I might be looking at partnering with northern countries rather than maybe, more hierarchical and more formal places. Perhaps it's a bit better for me and my personality. But yeah, I think it was great. I missed the first 20 minutes, but I heard there is going to be a recording. So thanks a lot for this opportunity.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah, the recording will be available. And so thank you very much. I really enjoyed the webinar. I think now I also got why you're the happiest countries in the world. I think the work, private life balance, and the connection with nature are one of the main reasons why. And also the lower number of people is it's kind of easier to organize in a certain way. But anyway, it was very interesting. Thank you very much. So next webinar will be held this Friday. So this time we have 2 webinars in 1 week. And so it's going to be on the 1st of September, and it will be hosted by Destination Makers. If I'm not wrong, it's going to be about innovation and sustainability, right? And we're going to delve into the topic with Letizia and our guest Federica Quattroni, who will talk about a pioneering project about bioconstructed creative residency for artists, which is situated in Sicily. So I really hope that you're going to join. As usual, I put the link here in the chat, and then each partner will send you an email with the link again to register in a second moment. Thank you very much for today, and see you on Friday. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye. Thank you.